So when I was 14 years old, it actually was right when we moved to our new town in Wisconsin. And we were starting a new school, and I remember that very first day of school, a boy came up to me and he handed me a crumpled up piece of paper and he ran off. And I thought maybe it was a love note or, anything like that when you're 14 years old. But instead I opened it up and it was a really grotesque, terrible picture, and it said, "This is what you look like." And so in that moment, I started to see my body for the very first time. And before that, I feel like I was totally oblivious, carefree, just a young girl, just enjoying life. And my eyes were just suddenly opened in the worst way to see my body in a way that it really wasn't even truth. I was a very fit, healthy young girl, a cheerleader, and suddenly I started to take on anything and everything that I heard about someone and what they said about a diet. So I heard that you shouldn't eat bread because it makes you lose weight. So I cut out all bread. And I just started doing all these different little things that I had heard maybe my mom or my aunt or other people talk about, to lose weight. And so little by little, I started to lose weight. And at first, no one noticed until one day my mom noticed that my cheerleading skirt wasn't fitting me anymore. And she said, "Katie, I'm really worried about you. I should take you to the doctor." And she hadn't noticed any of my food habits had changed because I did a really good job hiding them. And so when we went to the doctor, I, of course, denied anything was wrong. And as time went on, she realized and saw little things that I was doing to hide food and just different things that were kind of sneaky because I was keeping it all a secret. And what I really now realize is that I had fallen into anorexia. That went on for a few years until suddenly I really felt like I couldn't keep that up anymore. And I remember thinking, I wonder if there was a different way that I could control my weight, which then led to bulimia. So I was bulimic for at least 5 years. And then on my birthday, one day, both of my sisters heard me in the bathroom. And I had just eaten my birthday cake and I was getting rid of it. And my sisters said, "Hey, Katie, we need to talk to you upstairs." And so they called me upstairs and they said, "We know what you're doing." And tears started to stream down their face. And they said, "You can't live like this anymore because it's not just hurting you, it's hurting us as well." And I started crying with them. And it was kind of like my eyes were open to see that I, all this time, was really hurting myself. And I didn't see it that way. I really convinced myself that I was just controlling my weight.
Did your mom and dad know about this, or?
Well, so my mom had really strong suspicions, but I don't think she ever fully realized or knew. She did take me, I remember, to a counselor a few times, and the counselor was like, "Well, you just need to eat a burger." Just very simple solutions in his mind, but it never was something that got to the heart of the issue.
So what happened after you had the confrontation with your sisters?
So that night we prayed together on the bed. And I remember, as we're all sitting there holding hands, that God very gently spoke to my heart and said, "Katie, I'm setting your feet upon a solid rock." And I remember feeling like I was truly in mud and mire and just trying to grapple my way through. And I remember just having this vision of how he took me and he picked me up and he set me on a rock. And so in that moment, something broke, that prayer and that just vision and that acceptance of surrender. And God, this is my body, my life is yours. Truly laying it down, something broke off of me, and I never desired to go down that path again. And so that was truly closing a door where God just supernaturally did a work in my heart. But I had so much in my mind that still needed to be healed. And so that was really the start of my healing journey.
So you were now dating your husband in high school. Were you able to discuss it with him? Did he have any idea, or your friends?
I don't think he really understood. I think it's really hard for people to understand really what's going on with eating disorders. Like I said, even the counselor just was trying to give me a solution that was very practical, like just eat more. But really, eating disorders is very much a heart issue and also in your mind. It's really not so much about food. It's really about what's going on in the heart. And so that's an area that truly God is the one that goes in, and he's the only one that can heal our hearts. And then renewing our minds is something that it can only be done by the Word of God. And I remember laying on my bed, I was crying one day shortly after we prayed that prayer. And I said, God, how do I get free in my mind? I know I'm not thinking the way I'm supposed to be thinking still. And I opened up to Romans 12, 1 and 2, and it talks about submitting your body, submitting your life, submitting everything to God, and then no longer conforming to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that is how you'll know God's good, pleasing, and perfect will for your life. And so I said, okay, so this is like a roadmap. And I didn't even realize it at the time. But God was just showing me, you need to submit, surrender to me, and then allow my word to show you the way to go. And that's what I did. And it truly, that was the beginning of where the change took place in my mind.
Then what happened after that?
Well, so I started bringing my Bible with me everywhere. I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I just knew that the answer was in the Word of God. So I was in nursing school at the time, and when I was supposed to be studying for tests, I was in my car reading my Bible. And I was like, God, I want to know what your will is for my life. I want to know what your plan is, because I'm going my own way, and it's definitely not the right way. I've been messing everything up. So I started to pursue God with everything in me, all my heart. That was really where my change and transformation truly took place.